G'day, welcome to the Morning Line on this Tuesday. It's great to have your company. Lewis Willoughby here in the chair with you. And as we do every Tuesday morning, it's time for On the Pace, a bit of a review session of the last weekend that was. And we'll start, of course, with what happened in New Zealand on Friday. The build-up was immense. The racing on track was just as special. Brittany Graham joins me and Guerin will as well to talk about it all from last Friday. Britt, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lewis. It seems like a little while ago now, but I'm sure that the memories and those races will live on for a long, long time. That was exactly what we were hoping for from the race by Grins and the Tab Trot, the third edition of the race by Grins, the inaugural running of the Tab Trot. And Dave Branch and his team there in Cambridge should be awfully proud of what they were able to put out there on Friday evening, because it lived up to all expectations. The Aussies were able to win the Tab Trot. In fact, of the 8 runners, the 4 Australians ran first through fourth, whereas New Zealand were able to get one back in the race by Grins, with Merlin defeating Don't Stop Dreaming, their 2-star 4-year-olds. To discuss all of that and all of the wash-up and what comes next, it's great to have Michael Guerin joining us for On the Pace this morning. Good morning, Michael. It did live up to all expectations, didn't it? What a race night.
It was fun, Britt. Good morning to you. Big hi to everybody watching around Australia. I think harness racing has to be fun. It can't just be serious all the time. And I really enjoyed the night. The Australians added so much to it. It would have fallen really flat had they not been there. And when you consider the result that the trot was a total domination for Australia, we'll pick that apart shortly, and the fact that Lowry wasn't there for the paces, then you would say very much at the moment the power base on the track of Australasian harness racing lies in Australia. They have undoubtedly the best pacer, maybe the best 2, with the somewhat forgotten Swayze still to come back for the Brisbane Carnival, and clearly the best trotters. And that might be maybe one of the first times in the last 30 or 40 years that's happened. Maybe back to 1983-ish when there was Pop Bear Arm and Gamma Light and Scotch Notch was racing. That'd be about the last time, Britt, but is that going a little bit too far back for you?
Only 12 years before I was born, but that's okay. I've watched plenty of replays, Michael. Speaking of replays, let's look back on the race by Grins. It was a final race on the night. There was such build-up. It was a 3-horse race, according to the market, between Don't Stop Dreaming, drawn down in 2, Merlin, middle of the pack, and the best of the Australian raiders, according to the market, Speak the Truth, drawn wide. And it was a real charge to the first turn. Let's see how it all played out.
With a back straight quarter here of 28.5 seconds. Working into the race was Old Town Road. Back in the field and wide was Sooner the Better They Come for home. And Don't Stop Dreaming been asked for full ball, leads by 1.5 lengths. Here's the Magical Merlin after Don't Stop Dreaming. Can go back on the inside, and then Old Town Road. Merlin goes to Don't Stop Dreaming. Merlin, Don't Stop Dreaming really digs in, but the magic of Merlin, he's got the race by Grins. Merlin beats Don't Stop Dreaming. Photo third.
He's really come on since then, so fantastic for the team and stable. So I'm really pleased for the horse and Dean. He's a great supporter of ours, so couldn't be happier.
He seems the perfect racehorse too. It really doesn't matter what happens, he's always there, and he put himself in the right spot tonight.
Yeah, that's probably as fair as it gets, really. He can do a bit of work, or he can come off the pace, and he should develop that game as he's gone along. So it was just great. So as I say, just wrapped.
He's such a cool dude. It looks as though for Zach he can do whatever he needs to do post-race, here before the race. He just looks after himself so well. Yeah,
he does. He's pretty chilled. Sometimes you think, he's a bit quiet tonight, but he comes out and does the job. So he's a pretty smart horse.
What was it like driving in the race, knowing that he was looming? Did you have a feeling? Were you able to see what was going on, or were you too concentrated on your own?
Yeah, look, I was looking for my own gap, to be honest. So, I just heard the commentary after, and I knew he was up there. So, just stoked, just really wrapped.
You've been training for a few seasons now in partnership with Barry. Where does this rank in your very short training career?
Yeah, look, it's probably right at the top. Not now. So, like winning the derbies with him and pretty much everything that's come with him has been a highlight.
Such a great crowd here tonight. It's a different atmosphere, and a lot of them were cheering for your horse.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's great that the Aussies come over for it, and with the trot and everything, it's really developed into a real night. So, really happy for the club, and I'm glad their racing sort of come to fruition.
So what's next? I know you've accepted a Rising Sun invite with him, and all things being equal, I'm sure you'd love to be there.
Yeah, look, for sure, especially Dean's home state. We'll be really happy to be there. So, we'll just go back and have a chat after this. And there's a couple of races here, but I mean, we sort of probably don't have to go in them now. But look, we'll have a chat after this and see how he comes through. And, definitely Queensland's the next target.
It'll be great to see Merlin across this side of the ditch once again. And as Scott alluded to, he's really come on through that Sydney Carnival where he wasn't able to make the Miracle Mile, but he won the light horse free for all. And he's just such a tough customer, and that high speed that he also possesses. It's a dangerous combination. He got to Don't Stop Dreaming very soon after straightening there on Friday night. He's not a horse that wins by big margins, but he just did what he needed to do, and cool to see that emotion from Zachary Butcher after the line as well, Michael. It meant a lot to him. A few deep breaths, he fist pump or two as well. He loved it, and deservedly so, because that was a perfect drive.
Well, he grew up really close to the Cambridge racetrack, like literally a kilometre from the track, and his family, from his granddad, John, through to his father, David, and Uncle Phil, they've all been a huge part of Waikato harness racing. So it's not his home track anymore, but it's the track ingrained in him. For Barry Purdon, the first time he's ever trained a $1 million winner, which sounds remarkable, but I suppose there's not that many $1 million harness races. First time he's had a horse in the race by Guerin's. Scott Phelan has emerged not as just a junior partner in a training partnership, but it's a genuine partnership. Scott does a lot of the hands-on work and a lot of the moving and travelling of horses. So this is just as much Scott as it is Barry. And Dean Shannon, you would know better than anybody, Britt, has been buying horses, good and bad, for an awfully long time. And I think this gives him a real buzz. It's a real payback for what he's done in harness racing. I watched the race. I watched the horses warm up 2 races before, Britt. You would have seen them. And it was the first time I've seen them quite close to each other, Merlin and Don't Stop Dreaming, without all their gear on. And you're really struck by how much stronger Merlin is now than Don't Stop Dreaming. He's a more physically imposing horse. I had my doubts 18 months ago he would go on to be this good a horse, because he's by Art Major, and a lot of the Art Majors can be a little bit pretty and fast and big and strong, but they sometimes, just sometimes, don't go on with it quite as well as the Bettor's Delights. We're seeing a different version of this now. Now, Barry Purdon has had an enormous amount of success with the Art Majors, and the trainers who suit them tend to suit them. I think he's found the key to this one. He's by no means the best pacer in Australasia. We know that title was very firmly with Leap to Fame. But if Don't Stop Dreaming at least got close to Leap to Fame in a Hunter Cup, and this horse is comparable, if not now better than Don't Stop Dreaming, at least it might give some challenge to him and Swayze during the winter campaign in Brisbane. What I think is going to happen, Britt, I think they'll go to the Taylor Mile and the Messenger. That's Friday week and the Friday after. I think they'll miss the Auckland Cup. Barry Purdon suggesting to me, we're happy to miss the Auckland Cup so we can go to Queensland, which is a really big call. And I think he'll be outpointed by Lowry, but I think we'll see just how big that gap is around Lowry, around Swayze, and around Merlin. Don't Stop Dreaming, I would suggest, will stay home here, maybe contest the Auckland Cup once they hear that, and be set for the New Zealand Cup. But very much at the moment, no doubts after that race. The margin was small, but the statement was big. And as of right now, today, last Friday night, and for the weeks heading forward, Merlin's the best pacer in New Zealand.
He is, and he's proven that now time and time again, hasn't he? I think he has a fair lead over Don't Stop Dreaming head-to-head, as you mentioned, by Art Major, out of a Bettor's Delight mare. So I guess he has the best of both worlds, and we can't wait to see him here in Australia in the next few weeks and months. And not only does he have those open class races, but being a 4-year-old, we know he accepted that invite to the Rising Sun. He won't know himself back against his own age, 3- and 4-year-olds. He's going to be the one that they all have to beat. Don't Stop Dreaming was probably really pushed out at the start, quite a quick lead time, but I thought he had his opportunity thereafter. A few hard luck stories in behind as well, but all honours with Merlin. That was the race by Guerin's, a $1 million event. The $600,000 Tab Trot was run earlier on in the night, and there was so much said about this race, and it all happened. Call Me the Breeze fired off the mobile, was able to cross those to his inside. Muscle Mountain had a good early look, but when they settled with a lap to go, the ball was really in the court of Call Me the Breeze. He was able to get a big lung full of air, but it was Just Believe who again sat outside the leader and just proved too tough.
27 and 9. They're followed by Queen Alita. Over on the outside then, as they come to the turn, RC Phoenix, Oscar Bonavina's picking a path through homeward bound, and it's Call Me the Breeze, Just Believe on the outside. Queen Alita passing lane, Oscar Bonavina, Call Me the Breeze, Just Believe digging in on the outside, and Queen Alita, a dour struggle. Just Believe though, a true great of the trotting world in Australasia, and Just Believe, he'll get the TAB trot.
You know, moments like this is what you live for and what we do this for. And yeah, like we've had a lot of highs with this horse, but this is right up there with them all.
You've mentioned pre-race that he was going to have to be at his very best, and he's been to Europe, but somehow tonight nearly looked like his biggest challenge ever. Yeah, exactly right. You know, especially this part of the world, I think that was as much depth in a trotting race as we've seen for a long, long time. So it's great to be a part of it. Still felt a bit of pressure going into it with being the favourite again, but you know, he dug deep and stood tall when he needed to. Talk us through the first lap. Yeah, it pretty much worked out how I sort of read the race. I thought Call Me the Breeze would find the front and then looked to back the tempo off. So that was the only query, whether he fired up again like we saw in Melbourne there a month or so back. So, you know, I was always planning to go around and sit parked if the tempo wasn't hot. Which proved to be the case. So once they backed off and there was that couple of moves in front of me, I was able to get into the race very easily, and you know, I wasn't confident of winning at the bell. You know, Call Me the Breeze looked to be travelling quite well and did get it quite cheap early, so I knew we had a fight on our hands, but I knew I was in for a fight. They were really moving down the back straight, sub 28, but Call Me the Breeze wasn't getting away from your bloke. He looked really comfortable, and the fact that you could stick with him around the turn, he was always going to knuckle down up the straight. Yeah, absolutely. No, racing outside the lead is something he's sort of made his own in recent times, and you know, he sort of pretty much rates the race for me. He knows when it's time to get going, and he loves that back straight burn and you know, put everyone under pressure, and then it's sort of survival of the toughest up the straight. You were so quiet on him up the home straight. I don't think you even pulled the earplugs. You must have thought at the top of the straight you felt in control. Yeah, I didn't want to get fined here either. So, no, yeah, he's that type of horse. When he's on song and he's in that position, he wants to fight, and I just knew he had the race in his hands. So, yeah, just got him to the line as comfortably as we could. There's not much he hasn't won now, and I know I've asked you this before, but what does this horse mean to you and Jess and the owners? Because he just, when you think he's done it all, he finds another way. Yeah, absolutely. No, he's just a super special horse. Yeah, it's hard to really put words on, you know, what he sort of means to us. Really, he's just a great horse to have around the stable, and you know, he brightens up any ordinary morning weather-wise or anything like that. So he's a pleasure to do anything with, and just to get the opportunities to sort of travel the circuit and feature races. It's you know why I was sort of in this sport and why we're all in it. I think you know, to have these moments, and you know, he's given us quite a few along the way, and hopefully there's more to come. He's leased by a big syndicate. I know a lot of them are here, and he was raced tonight by another syndicate. So there was a lot of people out there enjoying that win with you. Absolutely. No, it was phenomenal, one, to be a part of this race, but to be a part of the Cambridge slot. You know, they've just done an amazing job over the last couple of years to get the slot races started, firstly with the paces, and to now get a trot race off the ground. It's just phenomenal what they're doing. They're obviously a great working club, and they've got you know, great members, and yeah, to be a part of their slot, it just sort of made it even more special. And now to come away with a win, you know, there's just so many people that have got smiles on their face, so it just makes it even more special for us. I'd assume Harry's New Zealand trip isn't over just yet? No, we might hang around a little bit longer, so yeah, I think the next race is in about a fortnight, so all going well, we'll head to that. And we're basically taking it race by race now, and see how long I can stay away from home.
What a horse, huh? Just Believe. He has had quite an exceptional last few seasons, and he added a new string to his bow there on Friday evening with an international success, doing it the hard way, sitting outside a European millionaire and just beating him at his own game. The first 4 horses were all excellent in their own way. Of course, Just Believe for the obvious reasons. I was actually standing with a few of the female New Zealand reinswomen, Sam Otley and Sarah O'Reilly, and we mentioned down the back straight, I said, he's got this race, because as much as Nathan Jack and Call Me the Breeze tried to shake him off, he was just there right at the girth of Call Me the Breeze. And in a dogfight, he's always going to come out on top. Call Me the Breeze had to burn pretty hard early on. Queen Elida was super. She's been beaten a neck and a neck by these 2 superstars, and I thought RC Phoenix was exceptional. He was side by side with Oscar Bonavina when they turned for home, Michael, and he's drawn off from him late. So all honours with those 4 Australian horses. They're going to win many more Group 1s between them and probably really dominate the next few seasons in harness racing. But Just Believe, isn't he a lovable type? And great to see him get the win.
Isn't he a little superstar? And I think he's now getting to the champion stage. He's not enormously better than Call Me the Breeze, but he's better. And again, small margin, big statement. He gets beat, he has an excuse, but to just power over the top of Call Me the Breeze, who's a good horse, is a hell of a difficult thing to do. So wonderful horse. I think really good horse for harness racing in this part of the world, because Jess and Greg handle themselves really well. They speak well. They're articulate. You can use them in the mainstream media to promote harness racing. First time in the time I've been doing this, which is about 35 years professionally, that Australia has had the dominant 2 or 3 horses. In that time, they've had a dominant 1 or 2 trotters. Scotch Notch was dominant at different times. I'm not going back to Mari's Idol. That was a bit before my time. But Scotch Notch was dominant. La Cucaracha. You could make a case that Night Pistol was part of a very dominant crop of horses. And then you've had a few others come and go along the way. There's been some great Australian trotters. There's never been a time when they've had the best 2 or 3. Now, I'm not entirely convinced they've got the best 3. They've got the best 2. I'm wanting to forgive Muscle Mountain and Oscar Bonavina. I'll see more evidence of them in coming weeks. But they've got the best 2. And that wasn't a 2-minute and 40-second performance. That's come from 10 years of investment from people like Pat Driscoll and from people who have bought stallions in from the Northern Hemisphere. Just Believe's dam was purchased by Mark Hoare in the US. Mark is at the moment undergoing some health issues, and Mark, we're thinking of you. Those investments over a long time have come back now to be bedded in, and those investments have also been put together by Harness Racing Victoria. Let's not forget, it's very important, the trotting into Dominion was cancelled by people who shouldn't have cancelled it 10 years ago. They turned their back on trotting in this part of the world. That was a bad decision. And now it's back. And it's by far the more growth of the 2 gates in this code. And that was done by Harness Racing Victoria and people like Pat Driscoll and Duncan McPherson and plenty of others who I don't know. But thank God they saved it, because some of our best races are open class trotting races. They're races we can beam into Europe. And it wasn't that long ago we turned our back on the Inter-Dominion Trotting Championships. Thank God we've got it back, because otherwise, without races like this and in the Inter-Dominion, what would a Just Believe and a Call Me Breeze have to aim at in this part of the world? Just on Just Believe, he'll stay for next week, the Lyell Creek Friday week, then the week after the National Trot. I think he'll stay here for the Rowe Cup. That's the last week of May. He's not going to Sweden. Greg Sugars and Jess Tubbs are close friends with Josh Dickey, who used to live in Victoria. The property they're staying at, Stonewall Stud, Josh Dickey works at. Greg suggesting to me on Sky Sport Radio yesterday, he might head home. He's got business to take care of there, leave the horse with Josh, who can caretaker, train it, then come back for the Rowe Cup, which is a $200,000 standing start. So I think he's set to dominate the autumn. Whether the Kiwis can get closer with most of the other Australians out of the way, Britt, that's now the question of the autumn. Or does JB do the clean sweep?
Well, at this point in time, he's really in the box seat, isn't he? Call Me the Breeze heading home for a break and a little patch up before he aims up again. Queen Elida, she's off to Menangle on May 4th for a mare's trotting event at the short course, so she'll be awfully hard to beat in that. She may head back for the Road Cup. That remains to be seen. And RC Phoenix, a remarkable training performance from Chris Finozio. Of course, only a 5-year-old. He hasn't done a lot of racing at that top level, and he's been in work since February of last year. So he's gone for a well-deserved break. That Inter-Dominion at the end of the year in Menangle for the Trotters is shaping up to be something incredibly special, and it would be super if we could see a Kiwi or two come across to contest that. We will wait and see. So they were the two feature races on Friday night, Michael, but the exciting thing is that wasn't the end of the carnival, so to speak. We've already mentioned several of these horses, and Better Eclipse and Speak the Truth are sticking around as well. So the next few weeks are going to be rematches once again for some pretty serious prize money.
So Friday week, Taylor Mile and Lyle Creek Trot. The week after, Messenger and National Trot, which is 110,000. And then the question is who sticks around for the Auckland Cup, which is a standing start. Now that's different. And also the Roe Cup, which is the last Friday in May. Britt, on behalf of all the New Zealand industry, but also people who love harness racing, we're going to thank the Australians. Slot races are funny things because they're huge money, but unless you win, it actually doesn't mean that much to the coffers. But a lot of really good people who love their industry came across and participated, and we need that if we're going to try and fight for any market share and any eyeballs and any attention. So to all of our Australian friends, including yourself, to all the broadcasters, to the owners, to the breeders, just to the supporters and the punters, thank you, and let's hope we can reciprocate when we have horses good enough during the Queensland Carnival, because this is the only way we can capture the eyeballs of the galloping and greyhound communities. It's by far the best way we can do it, by sticking together. And I thought last Friday was a really good example of that. We're going to see more of it over the autumn, and then everybody can go to Queensland to have a good time in the winter.
Well, it's certainly shaping as another great carnival, isn't it? But again, congratulations to Dave Branch and his team. They've single-handedly built this exceptional race night, and it's only going to get bigger and better, I'm certain of that. Thanks for your time this morning, Michael. We'll chat again next week, and really attention turns, as much as we're keeping an eye on those feature races to come in the North Island of New Zealand, to Menangle for May 4th, and their new ladies' night with the Queen Elizabeth II Mile. That's going to be a cracking race in New South Wales Oaks. Queen Elida will be in action. It's going to be super. So plenty of build up to that, and it's going to sneak up on us. So we'll chat about that next week, I'm sure.
I look forward to it, Britt. Thanks for taking the time to come across last week.
Great fun there out of Cambridge on a Friday evening, and the club did a great job with those two features, but really building a race night around it, and I'm sure it's only going to get bigger and better every single year. That was Cambridge on Friday. As mentioned, we're now turning our attention to Menangle in May, and to discuss that in a little bit more depth on the other side of this break, Lewis and myself will catch up with David Watson.